Yeah,
Yeah, first time ever doing something like this before.
cool.
Cool.
That's great to hear. I think a lot of people have reviewed their first proposal with us, and many of them have gone on to review proposals elsewhere. So perhaps this will be a start of a long proposal reviewing career for you.
Okay, I'll take it.
Awesome. So you're in the DC area?
Yes, I'm in the DC area. I'm actually stationed in Prince George's County, so I've been there for most of my life anyway.
When you
Nice.
say stationed, do you mean are you in the military?
Well, not military. I'm born and raised there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just like it's just been a long day. I was like, wait, why did I say that?
I just
I'm not in the military. What am I saying?
because I was reading through your thing and I was like, oh, you work with a wider circle and Capital Area Food Bank. And like I
I
also
volunteered, yeah, I volunteered with a lot of the major ones over the last 8.5, maybe 9 years. Actually, it's now 10. Now that I think about it, I have to go back a little bit. But yeah, but mostly with the Capital Food Bank, with a lot of with their community markets as a volunteer, and now working with their mobile markets as volunteers. So working with the smaller food pantries. So I realized that's kind of one of my heart passions, like helping the community when they don't have any food.
lots of my clients work in that field, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
No problem.
We have most 80% of the proposals that we have already are from the DC area. So
Perfect.
welcome aboard. Welcome everybody else. There's about 50-50 real people, AI note takers, which is great. I like the summaries they send. They help me refine future Q&As. I'm still admitting people. Admit all. Oh, you're all welcome. Come on into the Google Meet. This will be, I don't know, I haven't really kept track, but maybe my 50th Q&A. We can pretend that this is my 50th, right? And have a little celebration. There's even a little celebration button there. Welcome everyone to my 50th Evaluator Q&A. Glad to have you join us. Speaking of 50, we have had over 50 new evaluators sign up since our last round, which just ended in June. So a lot of folks are signing up to volunteer. About half of the new folks RSVP'd for today. Many of you are here now. I'm gonna get started here. I have a presentation that I have updated for this round. Hello, Kemi's note taker. Welcome. You're all welcome here. Please try to summarize accurately. We are recording this. We're going to share it later. Hello to the virtual audience or to the people watching at home. If you come up with a question afterwards, always feel free to email me, dave@unfundedlist.com. If it's a question about your evaluating, that's going to be a priority for me. I will do my best to respond to you as quickly as I can. So welcome here to the round. We have reviewed over 1,300 grant proposals since our inception. And to do that review, we engage volunteer evaluators like yourself. 1,600 plus folks have reviewed a proposal with us. We have 450 who are confirmed for this round, including yourselves. Many of them have been reviewing with us for a few years now. Some have been reviewing since we started in 2015. We have some evaluators who have reviewed over 100 proposals with us. We've maintained a very high satisfaction rate in order to keep them around, both among authors and evaluators. We get about a third of our proposals each round nowadays are returning submissions, so people who've been reviewed by us in the past. And we do a decent amount to encourage that. Every round we improve our process. So one of the benefits of having a round-based system is that we get to pause and reflect, collect some data and some feedback ourselves, and try to improve our own process based on the resources that we have. We've made some pretty big improvements this round, I think, for us, that I'm a little bit excited about. I think they're going to really improve the flow of everything and allow you all to make more thoughtful and helpful reviews on the proposals. And we'll talk about those these round. Particularly, there's an NA button now, a skip button, if you don't like the prompt, which I'm pretty excited to talk about in a moment. And we have a new question set. One of our evaluators, Isabella, who I think is here, helped lead an audit of our prompts, and we rewrote several of them. We added some new ones. We threw some out. We changed the help text, and we have a whole new question set that I think is really going to guide for some helpful and constructive feedback on these proposals. In the time over the last 10 years, we have partnered with a dozen plus different grant makers, quite a big range, ranging from family foundations like Kettering to innovative giving circles like the Circle for Justice Innovations and Next Gen Giving Circle, who are our partners this round. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Last round, we partnered with the Dental Trade Alliance Foundation, so we had a lot of proposals related to oral health. We may see some of those folks come back. I hope some of them do, but we will definitely have fewer dentistry. I'm confident that we will have less dentistry this round. Although that was a fun glimpse into oral health care in the U.S., particularly rural U.S. We also were working with the Maine Association of Nonprofits to review proposals from my home state of Maine. These are some Maine trees outside. I hope to work with them again to get some more folks from Maine. We will definitely be working with Next Gen Giving Circle, which is a giving circle focused on the DMV area. I'm not sure exactly the geographic limitations. I think they do have some proposals from outside DC itself. So some of them are from Maryland counties and perhaps Virginia as well. And these are generally very small community organizations doing social justice work, economic justice, housing support, that kind of stuff in the DC area. Most of them are trying to get their first grant ever. And the grantees there are younger professionals, many of them involved in philanthropy for the first time. So this is a really great partner for us to have. We've partnered with them a few rounds. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Quickly, the timeline. Today is August 28th. You're at the Q&A for new evaluators. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying it so far. The proposals are currently coming in. We have 6. They are due September 20th. So if you're writing a proposal and you also want to be reviewed, you're encouraged to send those in. Send them in by September 20th. And if you know folks that should be sending proposals, please encourage them. We have a lot of evaluators signed up. 450 is a lot. That allows we'll be able to review a large number of proposals. I doubt we'll have too many proposals this round. So we'd love to have as many come in as possible. There's a lot of folks out there struggling with their grant writing. I know we would love for them to send us their work. If they have any questions about that, they can contact me directly. Again, due September 20th. October 1st, you evaluators will receive your proposal assignments. I'm going to do a quick demo right now. I think I am. Nope. I need to share that screen instead. 1 second. So this is our software. This is the staff version, so I've got some more tabs up top here, but in general, this is what yours will look like when you, excuse me. Hello, welcome. So when you receive an email from me on October 1st, it'll say you've got your assignments, please click here. Here's your magic link. There'll be no password, no login required, nothing like that. Just use that link anytime you need to log in. And you'll see your proposal assignments here. These are just some from last round that we reviewed. Here's a dentistry one. Here's one from Maine. 2 from Maine, actually. And then last round we submitted a proposal that I wrote. We got a lot of feedback there. So when you're ready to review it, I'll just quickly show you there is full list will be down here. This is all the proposals. So you can review outside of your assignments if you want. If you want to do extra work, or if you don't like your assignments and you see something else on the list that you prefer, right? Or if you submitted one yourself and you want to check, make sure we got everything right, you'll be able to see it there. There's also a video here on how to review that you can watch. I'll spare you. But when you're ready to review, you click on the name of the organization you want to review. And it'll take you to this page. Here is information that they shared with us when they sent us their proposal, right? So in my case, we applied for this capacity building program for small nonprofits. We did not get it, unfortunately. And you give some information about the organization. I think that should be. I think everybody. Yeah, I'm good. I don't know why that. We also asked them to tell us about the proposal, the specific opportunity. We asked a question about the proposal author, their experience, is English their first language, right? That sort of thing. Tell us as much as you can about this particular submission. Did you receive feedback on it already? That sort of thing. Then there's a link here that will go directly to a copy of the proposal for you to read. Once you've read all that, then you go over here. This is last round's question set. As I said, we have a new question set that we're going to upload soon. But you go through and respond to each prompt, right? And as I said, now, if the prompt doesn't particularly speak to you, and you're like, well, that was not relevant for my review or what I want to say about this proposal, or I don't know anything about budget, so I don't want to comment, or there is no budget, that sort of thing. There's gonna be a new button that says skip. You can just click skip. Also, if you write NA, not applicable or any version of that in the box, it will recognize that and skip it for you, and then they just won't include that in your review. If you want, you can just do your overall impressions. You can write, as much as you want right here, and that can be your total review. Or you can answer every single question if you want. We tried to be comprehensive with our new question set. Ask lots of different questions and everything. If you want to follow up with some sort of direct action, at the bottom here are some buttons. Introduction offer, right? I would like to introduce you to my friend Bill Gates. He's a funder of some note, right? Or I would like to speak to you myself. I'm interested in helping you with X, Y, and Z. Here's my contact info. Why don't we have a chat, right? Or have you read this book? It's a really great book. Read it here, and you give the link, right? This is where you can make those sorts of. They go into a special section of the report at the end. When you're sure you're finished, right? It'd be helpful for me if you click this I'm finished button. But it doesn't really matter. Everything you write is saved on my end the moment you save it, right? So don't worry about. You can leave and come back. Just use your magic link. It'll always come back. Your reviews will be there. You'll be able to edit them right up to the deadline. Which to go back to the. Just to the window. Ooh. So yeah, October 1st, you'll receive that link. And you'll be able to go in and review proposals. Your feedback will be due November 20th. I think it might be the day after Thanksgiving or something like that. I forget when I was picking the deadlines, but early feedback is very helpful. Helps me make sure that we get feedback on everything. So feel free to dive right in as soon as you get your assignments. But November 20th, we'll need it in because December 1st is when we're going to send the feedback reports out to the authors. And then in December and January, we're going to have report discussions, follow-up conversations about the feedback reports. Last round, each report had a minimum of 7 reviews, an average of 13 reviews. So they're quite lengthy. Like I said, we have a good evaluator to report ratio. So we're able to provide a lot of feedback. So it's important to remember as an evaluator, you'll be one of a handful of reviewers at least, possibly 12 or more reviewers, right? So don't worry about being right. Just sort of share your opinion. Trends will pop up. Generally in the report discussions, we talk about contradictions or trends, things that multiple evaluators noticed, that sort of thing. So feel free to share your all your opinions, engage with those prompts, and try to be as helpful as candid as you can. If you go to our website, we have a report of the decade with lots of details about all of our previous rounds of proposal review. Notably, we've had a very strong impact on the organizations we've reviewed. We know this from a couple intentional efforts to collect data. We did a study a few years ago about some of our original groups that we reviewed, and found that about 9 out of 10 of them had increased their fundraising, with the average increase about 213%, which is very high. The sector is raising more now in general, but not 213% more. Lots of different organizations. Respectability focuses on disability inclusion. Global Press Institute is a global organization focusing on women journalists in conflict zones. Fast Forward is a tech nonprofit accelerator in the Bay Area. National Medical Fellowships is a historic nonprofit from before I was born that does scholarships for Black and Brown medical students. And then Leveling the Playing Field is an organization that had never received a grant before they sent a draft to us, and is now quite well funded and owns warehouses and stuff like that. I expect in the future, because we have a lot of very talented evaluators now, and we're able to give more feedback than we were giving back then, that number will even increase further. So I'm excited to do future studies about that. As I mentioned, we have some new features. Isabella is here, who helped us work on the question set. Isabella, would you like to say a few words about the new question set? I don't know if she's got a microphone or not.
Yes, I'm just off camera. But yeah, absolutely. So the new question set was formulated thanks to the feedback from fellow evaluators during the summer process audit. A few of us were able to join and provide feedback verbally and then in written form as well. And essentially, we have combined some sections that went together, such as collaboration, networks, and inclusivity. We've added a section on goals. And very excited also about the NA skip button, which will help evaluators get better feedback for the applicants. So yeah, happy to have contributed, and thanks.
Thank you very much, Isabella.
Of course.
So as new evaluators, the NA situation is going to be new to you, but we had one of the situations we had every round was that the most common comment we received on the forum was NA, not applicable, or somebody didn't want to, right? Or they felt they wrote some version of that. They'd write, I answered this above, or see my question above, or see my question below, or I don't feel qualified to answer this, or I'm not an expert on this part, or the proposal didn't address this. There's just some version of a comment that is not really focused on the proposal, not terribly helpful, right? So we wanted to make that, and in general, I was removing them in the end, right? When we put the reports together, I would just manually remove all the NAs. It was a sort of semi-annual tradition for me that I would take a couple hours and find and replace through all the reports and manually remove every instance of NA. And so now you can, if you don't want to answer a prompt, you can just skip it, right? Focus on the prompts that speak to you the most, allow you to give the most helpful and candid feedback. Hopefully that's clear. The button is just right there below the prompt things. We were also noticing sometimes folks would just sort of write generic things because they thought they had to fill out the whole form. Just want you to understand that it's not a test. You don't have to answer every question. We're trying to give feedback, right? The purpose of the prompts is to source good suggestions from you, and they generally cover all the areas that are covered in a proposal. We will probably do another process audit of the questions at some point in the future. So if you have thoughts on the question set, or if they're positive or negative, feel free to let us know. Other than that, some tips for being a helpful and candid reviewer. Do your best. Don't be shy. Like I said, don't really worry about, sometimes evaluators come to me and they're worried about being wrong, right? And what I usually say is, lots of funders out there, they're not really worried about being wrong, right? So if you have a thought in response to the proposal, share it, right? Even if it's wrong based on what they wrote, and we'll talk about it in the report discussion, right? And even if you aren't an expert in the topic, it's outsider perspective. Your response to what they wrote will be helpful, right? So just read these things. Keep your perspective in mind. It has value. We're going to want to hear from you. You'll be one of a bunch of different kinds of folks reviewing the proposal, people from all over the world, really, and different ages and tax brackets reviewing the proposal, different walks of life. And so just share your perspective. You'll get mixed in there with a bunch of others. They'll have a chance to talk about it with us. It's a process that we've seen work time and time again. Be helpful and candid. Keep those words in mind as you're writing your prompts. Is this helpful and candid? Yes, then keep writing. If it's not, then we probably don't need to include it. Helpful and candid. And extend the benefit of the doubt to the authors and to the administrator of the program as well. We get proposals from all over the world, a lot of different formats, people who don't necessarily speak English as a first language, who don't know that much about, who aren't that good at submitting forms, right? Lots of stuff comes up in our program. What you see may not be representative of what was intended all the time, right? Don't assume that they didn't answer a question or that they didn't include a budget or that they did something wrong, right? Just imagine there's a good reason for it. Try to be nice as you're being helpful and candid, right? Try to be as helpful as possible without being overly critical, right? Just do your best to extend the benefit of the doubt. These folks wrote grant proposals. They put their passion down on the page, and they're asking for your candid assessment. It's a very brave thing to do, right? And just try to be as respectful as possible as you are reviewing. And I think you'll find that will strengthen your review and make it something that they're more likely to respond to. As I said before, I think one of the key thing here is to share your unique perspective and experiences. And as much as possible, tell stories, right? If you can say, one of the comments that I see a lot in the reports that I know the authors like a lot is something along the lines of, I was a fundraiser for this similar organization and we were facing a similar challenge, right? And here's what we did to solve that challenge and it worked for us, right? That's a very good comment. If you share that personal experience, their ears are gonna perk up as they're reading that and take it more seriously, right? Like I said before, don't worry about being right. Your own perspective. I've written it several times because it's very important. Please share your background as much as you can, right? I'm a fundraiser, or I've never fundraised before, or right, I'm formerly homeless, and this is really like, here's what it was like for me, right? Or when I came out of the hospital, right? Here's the support that I needed, right? That sort of stuff's very helpful in these reports. Really helps strengthen future drafts, I think. Right? If you want to, you can feel free to protect your anonymity if need be, right? Not necessary, but that kind of storytelling really helps. And we don't have character limits on our prompts, so feel free, if you really want to dive into it and really write a bunch of stuff down, go ahead. We've on occasion we've had, and I would love to see this again. It's been a few rounds since anyone did this, but if you want to record a video of yourself or audio of yourself and just send me the link to that or a file, I'll include that in there. We can pass that along as well. We had an evaluator for a while who was a ventriloquist, and he would do his reviews with his dummy. So he would talk about the proposal he did a bunch of 20-minute videos of him and the dummy talking about each proposal. It was amazing. I wish we had that for everybody. Wish I could promise ventriloquist reviews for everyone, but that was a rare instance. If any of you are ventriloquists, feel free, go ahead. Or if you have a similar skill, feel free to include that in your review. And also, I would say don't be shy about fundamentals, particularly if you are a advanced grant professional, right? Some of our submitters are not. Many of them, this is their first proposal. They may be getting some of the basics wrong. Feel free to point that out to them, even if it seems very fundamental to you. Because what will happen is in the report, it'll be like there were 13 reviewers and all 13 pointed out these things, right? That makes it very easy for me in the report discussion to sort of gently make that point and help them deal with that problem. There's less arguing and less right? It makes the feedback like a lot more concrete and clear, and it makes the actionable next steps a lot more clear for these folks on how to improve their proposals. Yeah, believe it or not, reviewing proposals is not always glamorous. I think that what we imagine, right, we would love, and this happens here. You read a proposal, you make a few suggestions, they use those suggestions, and then they get funded, right? That happens with a lot of the proposals, right? But sometimes you're just sort of clearing things up for them, fixing it up, pointing out some new things for them to consider, right? Pointing out some administrative issues with the proposal, right? Small things. It's not always like particularly glamorous. Like we're editing and reviewing documents, but it is very important, very helpful. Right, as you sit down to review, remember like it's often about the fundamentals, not necessarily about big, huge sweeping changes or anything. Some of the main mistakes that we've seen the authors make over the last 10 years. Read a lot of different kinds of proposals. Probably seen every mistake that can be made in a grant proposal. No, that's not true. I think I see some new stuff that surprises me every round. I'm sure we'll see some of that this round. The first thing to consider is they didn't necessarily, a lot of the proposals we read are great. Like I read like some of the stuff we highlighted on previous unfunded list updates and articles and stuff. Just terrific proposals. Funders get too many proposals. Sometimes they have to turn down great grant proposals, and they end up getting reviewed by us. So you don't necessarily need to try to find what went wrong, right? Funders are getting a lot of requests. That's usually the main thing. In terms of mistake, like actual noticeable mistakes, funder fit, right? They applied to a program that they weren't really a fit for. That's probably why I didn't get the grant from Alexander Hallock. They had sort of an issue-based focus. We reviewed some proposals on that issue, but we aren't focused on it ourselves, and I just think we weren't a fit. And many of our evaluators pointed that out to me, and I agree with them. That was helpful for us. One is the failure to consider competitor or their funder or the funder perspectives, right? So oftentimes they're just really sort of focused on their program and why they need the money, and they're not really imagining a competitive process that they're applying to, right? Your proposal will be one of many proposals in a pile that the program officer has to read, and you don't want to make anyone's job difficult. You don't want to be, you want to understand your role in a large administrative process as a proposal, right? And many of them sort of wrote the proposal failing to imagine that stuff. They didn't put themselves in the shoes of anyone else. There's the simple problem of unanswered questions, or so sometimes they'll completely leave it blank, like they missed it on the form, or the answer didn't answer the question. They wrote words but didn't answer. They answered a different question, right? Or they wrote what they wanted to say or something like that. Sometimes it's incomplete, right? They just forgot to finish that section, or it got cut off by the character limits or something like that. You want to point that out to them, right, so they can notice it. There's also unrealistic or naive requests. Sometimes they ask for way too much money, or they promise to launch huge programs that they don't have a history of doing, or like it just didn't look feasible in any way. I'm sure they think they can do it, but it doesn't look like that to anybody else, and it's necessary to point that out to folks every now and then. Sometimes things that folks apply to things that they're ineligible for, like they were in the wrong state, they're doing the wrong issue, they were not eligible for this, or otherwise incorrect. They don't have C3 status, right? They're not a fit, like for some sort of very specific paperwork reason. And then lastly, not every program needs to be grant funded. Not every program is a good fit for being grant funded and going through the like organizational grant process and all that. Some programs make great earned revenue. Some are doing really good with their individual donor program. Some are doing and they're trying to supplement that with additional grant funding. Some programs are trying to go from their lost federal grants right now to new private funding. That may be a bad idea for them, right? We want to maybe give them a couple things to think about before they spend a lot of time on that. Right. So, and again, lots of other mistakes get made in grant proposals. They are inherent. Even winning ones are often inherently flawed documents. It's difficult to put together some of these complex requests. Real quickly about partnering with Unfunded List. So in general, anyone can submit a proposal and they pay a $100 fee through our website. We have a proposal already in right now. Expect to get 30 to 40 proposals through the website this way, and this will be a real hodgepodge of proposals. They'll be from all over the world on all kinds of different topics, and we will give them all a review. We work directly with grant makers and find a way to cover the cost by working with them. They're funders after all, right? And that also allows us to do more thorough partnership, right? That we work in collaboration with the funder to promote the opportunity to their grantee portfolio. We recruit reviewers that are relevant to that specific topic, right? So when we were doing the DTA Foundation review, we were blessed with a lot of public health reviewers, which we now have, which is great because we usually have public health proposals to review. And that allows us to do sometimes specific training and other educational content. So, for instance, we did the Healthy Smiles funder panel last round with oral healthcare funders to learn more about that as we were reviewing those proposals. We are partnered with Next Gen Giving Circle in DC this round. We had an in-person event in March in DC called Reviewers United. And we'll be having another one again, which is around networking proposal reviewers in the DC area, a variety of different giving circles, Spur Local, and a bunch of other philanthropy organizations join us for a day of proposal review discussion and training and just general networking, and also very good food. We make a point of making sure the food is very good. That'll be March 7th, and we'll be sharing a case study with Next Gen Giving Circle, and hope to have some other partnerships to announce in the next month or two. One last round, so as I mentioned several times now, the Dental Trade Alliance. One interesting takeaway from that partnership, they had 60 applications. I think it was actually 62 applications to their funding program, and all 62 were given the opportunity to get reviewed by us. And 21 of the groups asked to be reviewed. Right? They gave away 4 grants in total, and all 4 of the winners opted in for review from us. So the odds of that happening are about 1 in 100. But I think really, and I was saying this before we learned the winners, the fact that they were asking for feedback is very indicative of a strong proposal writing team. And so I'm not really surprised to learn that, all 4 won. They haven't made their official announcement yet, so unfortunately I can't tell you which 4 won the grants. But if you were reviewing with us last round, we had all 4 winners of those grants last year. Congratulations to them. And they all showed up to their report discussions. Great. Mostly rural healthcare clinics, basically, our research groups doing really important work here in the U.S. So for the fall, like I said, we've got Next Gen Giving Circle lined up. We've reviewed with them before. And one of the cool things about that is after the first 2 rounds, we put together some notes for them to improve their RFP and their process. And they listened to most of it. They've actually changed their process quite a bit this round. So we'll be reviewing with them again to take another look at it and see that new process. And also give us the chance to give some feedback to some cool nonprofits in the DC area. And then after this follow-up, we're gonna review again with them next spring, except we're gonna expand it and allow their applicants to send us proposals to different funders, right? So we're gonna learn some data on where these organizations are applying once they get grants from, or after they apply to Next Gen Giving Circle, where else are they applying? How can Next Gen Giving Circle use that information to be a better funder? They're very interested in providing some value beyond the dollars and working with their entire portfolio in that way, and it makes them a really cool partner for us. And we will be meeting up with them at Reviewers United on March 7th next spring. So I can't review all these proposals. If I did, the reviews would be kind of one-sided, I think. So we really need evaluators in order for the program to work. The fact that I have so many talented folks like yourself signed up every round is a wonder to me, and is what allows me to do it. Your reviews are essential to our mission, is an understatement, I think. This is an opportunity to shape the future of philanthropy. these folks are going to be applying to proposals. They're going to be working directly with grant makers. In the case of Next Gen Giving Circle, right? They listen to our feedback and they change their RFP process, right? This is a chance to meet other folks, right? If you're in the DC area, I hope you'll be able to join us. I wish I could do more events everywhere. It's great to be able to meet you in person and to see you virtually here. And we'll do our best to make this a really good learning experience for you as we review proposals. Welcome to our learning community. I have some quick case studies here, but I will pause in case there are any questions. Does anybody have any questions about reviewing proposals with us?
How much does the people being reviewed learn about who the reviewers were?
So when you signed up, you put you fill out a form and it has your name. One of them tells about your background. So they get your name and that information. This is at the top of each review, which I think is pretty important because like an anonymous review, you don't necessarily know where they're coming from, right? Valuable to see the general background of where folks review and all that sort of thing. Sorry, does somebody else have a?
Michelle had a question. She had raised her hand.
Oh,
yeah.
thank
Hi
you.
there. Thank you. Yeah, as a new evaluator, I'd just like to know, and please forgive me if I'm asking you to repeat, will we have access to the RFP that stimulated the proposal, or what kind of foundational information like that about the organization, stuff like that, or should we research that ourselves?
Terrific question. And we've learned that that's something that many of our best evaluators really want to see. I think that is actually, so the answer is yes, if possible. We asked them to give us that, like the form asked them to give us that information. We do get some folks who they're really new to grant writing and they don't even know where to apply. They just want us to read their proposal and give them guidance on where to apply. Right? We try to discourage that. We try to tell them like we are best if we know where you applied. And what I think as evaluators, that makes the learning experience sort of doubled up because you get to learn about a cool organization and a cool funding opportunity as well. It's sort of a twofer. And many evaluators like you do want to have that information. If I don't get it, then I don't, right? then I can't pass it on to you. But we do our best. And in the case of our partnerships, that's great because then we have direct access to the funders. Right, so with the Next Gen Giving Circle proposals, you'll absolutely be able to see that info. Right, and last round with the Dental Trade Alliance, right, we were always able to see that. But sometimes I get something that comes through the website, and they'll say even when they give me the link, sometimes they applied to it last year and it's no longer, the link's now gone down or something like that. So there's various reasons that we might not be able to share it with you, but yeah. And I think when we can share it with you, that strengthens your ability to give feedback. Because as I pointed out, funder fit is like one of the main reasons that they're not getting funded. So when we can see that RFP information, we can make a better determination as to fit. So thank you for that question. Very important. Melody, you used the hand raising feature. I appreciate that.
No problem. So I think if you can go back to the part where the authors make the mistake, the very last part, I think I was a little bit confused by what you say that that one of the mistakes that they have is that they apply for a grant. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think sometimes, and this is something that is certainly an opinion. Many of the organizations that we review for shouldn't, grant funding is not really a good fit for them at the moment for various reasons. It's possible that it never will be. They might be doing something that philanthropy isn't interested in funding, doesn't have a history of funding. Okay. Right? They might be running a for-profit business and trying to apply for grants from family foundations, right?
Got it.
Or they might be running a nonprofit that is otherwise very successful with fundraising and this is something that happens as well. They might be trying to branch out, right? And just in general, they're inexperienced and not grant ready. I think is a term that a lot of
Writers use.
organizations will use. And I'm not trying to make a values judgment here. I'm not trying to say you don't deserve funding or this is a bad program or anything. It's just that you have to think about the competitive nature of grants. You're up against extremely savvy fundraising teams with professional grant writers. You're almost certainly not going to win. I'm not going to walk onto the Yankees either. You know.
Makes sense.
And many of them should stick to if they're having. So sometimes it's not necessarily like they have really good individual fundraising program, and they're just trying to adapt that awkwardly. They're trying to make a round peg fit into the grant square. Again, it was the last on the list of mistakes.
That's what I say. Like, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that.
At least
Let me
I
ask.
mean, most of them, nobody. I will say nobody writes a grant idly. But there are people who probably weren't ready to apply for this at this time.
Okay.
Where there was basically a 0% chance from the start of this opportunity being successful, and so and time is a very precious resource. So
that makes more sense. Thank you.
Sarah, another hand raiser.
Hi. Yes. Hi, thanks for this. So you mentioned that there's often a lot of reviewers able to review each proposal, which is great. How many proposals do you anticipate each evaluator getting in this round?
Yes. So by default, I give you like 3 to 5, which sort of depends on length. 5 shorter ones, 3 long ones. Some evaluators will give me specific numbers, like I can only do 1 or 2 is a pretty common thing that people say. I'll do, and actually some of our retired folks are like, I got plenty of time, give me more, right? We have folks who do 15 to 20 each round. Just let me know. I'm happy to adjust those requirements for you. But yeah, by default 3 to 5 seems to be what people seem to like. It's going to be 30 to 50 pages of reading probably. And you will have it's a 6-week reading period. So
that's perfect. Thanks.
Anybody else? Margaret, did I miss anything?
No, I think that's great. I love how there's an outline now, so most things don't get missed anymore because you have a whole presentation.
Yeah. 50 tries. I do it pretty well. Margaret is there showing off her Unfunded sweatshirt.
Swag.
If you would like one, let us know and we will. We can work. We might be able to work something out for you.
Work something out.
David Jaffe asks if we make podcasts. We do.
We
do make podcasts.
We do.
I released a new episode this week. First time in a while. This is our 7th season of the podcast, Open Door Philanthropy, available wherever you get your podcasts. And last week I interviewed a guy named Judd Fisher, who's the president of the Ball Brothers Foundation in Indiana, which is one of the more influential foundations in Indiana. And it was a pretty cool conversation. And hope to interview some more foundation leaders this season. We've also got 6 previous seasons of philanthropy-related interviews that you can check out there. If you enjoy listening to me talk, then that podcast
who doesn't
might very well be for you. Ashley,
are you still wanting to recruit more proposals? Like if we post on LinkedIn, hey, I'm doing reviews for Unfunded list.
Yes, terrific. Please do that. We have a communications toolkit. Margaret, do you think can you share that in the chat?
Sure.
That's probably beyond my multitasking skill for right now. But yeah, we put a toolkit together for evaluators to do just that. We've written some pre-written posts. That sort of thing can be very helpful. I think word of mouth from our evaluation community is the main way people find out about us. And I think you have it exactly right. I am reviewing proposals for this program. If you wrote a grant proposal and you're looking for feedback, send it here. Absolutely. And we will So the situation we have now is that we are blessed with evaluators. And we will get probably about 60 proposals this round. That's how many we had last round. I think we'll probably get about the same number this round. It looks like the partnerships are going to be around the same. Demand might be up a little bit, but we'll see. We're gonna have more. We're gonna have 50 more evaluators than we had last round, though. And last round, arguably, we gave too much feedback. Some of the reports, it's like the bigger reports, the ones that had the higher response rates. And in fact, everybody was very eager to review the one that I wrote, which ended up being the longest report we ever made. I heard from 46 different reviewers, which took me a really long time to read. But I did get to it all. Thank you if any of you were here. But yeah, I think everybody writing a grant proposal should send it to us for feedback. So if you know anybody writing proposals, ask them to do it. We have tremendous capacity and most of you have more experience with grants than Margaret or I do. I had the AI read, like you write your backgrounds on the form. So I showed all the results of the form to GPT and said, right, summarize our evaluators, right? And it's over 20 years of experience with grants. Come from all different fields, from all different continents, have experience with all different funders. We are really able to cover a wide range of proposals and hope to receive a very large number. So thanks for that question and the opportunity to share the toolkit there, which we will share afterwards. Lots of thumbs up, hand raisers. You're using the emojis very well. Experienced virtual meeters. Any other questions? I think we're very good. I think I may break early. We will have another Q&A in September. You are welcome to come back. I think we'll have some of our more experienced evaluators at that one, and hopefully some of our authors as well. Maybe make it more of a interactive discussion, back and forth type chit chat thing. But yeah, between now and September 20th, we're hoping to receive dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds of grant proposals to review. And I thank you all in advance for your help with that. I look forward to reading your reviews and assigning proposals to you all. If you come up with any questions afterwards, feel free to email me, dave@unfundedlist.com. We will send out this video. Perhaps you're watching this video right now, because I sent it out, the recording. Also a summary and some links like the toolkit and some other information about Unfunded List. Again, welcome to the community. Looking forward to reviewing grant proposals with you. Have a good rest of your August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you to our AI note takers. You are doing hard work, very valuable work. I don't have to write the notes down myself. I enjoy that. And I look forward to reading the summaries that you put together for this meeting. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Goodbye.